A major development in the deadly December attack at the Naval Air Station in Pensacola, Florida. The Saudi aviation student who shot and killed 3 American sailors had been in contact with al-Qaeda, the DOJ making the announcement after the FBI finally accessed the content on his phone.
The phones contained information previously unknown to us that definitively establishes al-Shamrani's significant ties to al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, not only before the attack, but before he even arrived in the United States.
Our next guest has been demanding answers in how this attack happened, and he's had a hunch on this. He's sponsoring legislation that will make sure it doesn't happen again. Florida Congressman, former Green Beret, Colonel Michael Waltz, now with the National Guard. Congressman, what are you doing to make sure this never happen again? After all, this is an exchange program. We're trying to train these guys and these women to make their military better with our military.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. So there's 3 big points here. 1 is improving the vetting. 2 is al-Qaeda is still very much dangerous. And then 3 is the role of big tech and working with our law enforcement and our intelligence agencies to get access to these phones when we have these kind of ongoing plots. On the vetting, I've introduced legislation called the Secure Bases Act, which will create a special visa category for these students coming over, and then also a risk category for what country they're coming from. Obviously, students coming from Saudi Arabia, much greater risk of being radicalized than, say, military students from Norway. But we have to improve the vetting. The Defense Department is increasing it exponentially and has kind of taken that over from the State Department. But, at the end of the day, we've got over 20 bases in Florida, thousands of these students. I do want to make the point that it is an important program that we are interoperable with these allied militaries. What we have that the Chinese and the Russians don't have are these critical allies that we can fight alongside with the same type of equipment.
Right. Michael, a couple of things. Yeah. Number 1 is the Saudis got to screen their people. Do they really know he's not al-Qaeda? Are they really duped by that? They really don't know his ties and they're sending him over here? Inexcusable. Also inexcusable, Apple, according to our FBI director, was no help. We had to unlock that phone ourselves. It took the FBI 4 months to do it. What if that was the beginning of a major plot or a series of hits around the country? Inexcusable.
Yeah, so the Saudis have to do a better job. Everyone has to do a better job, and we have to demand that they do a better job. This is a privilege to come train with us, not a right on their point. The other point is that al-Qaeda is still very dangerous. We can't ignore that piece that they are trying to infiltrate these programs. We have to stay on offense against them overseas. And to your point on big tech, absolutely. Apple just completely refuses to work with law enforcement to create a backdoor into its encryption. And if we have ongoing terrorist plots, we can't have the FBI taking 5 months to get into their phone. I mean, not only did they have other of their accomplices on there, they had child pornography on there, they had other radicalized sites. This could have been much, much worse in terms of plots at other bases, and we just can't have big tech throwing up their hands and saying, you guys figure it out. It's not acceptable.
Yeah, I don't know for sure, but I'm wondering if China asked, since they make all their stuff there, if they would have had a different response. Here is their formal response to the FBI's accusation. Apple responded to the FBI's first request for information just hours after the attack on December 6th and continues to support law enforcement during their investigation. The false claims made by about our company are an excuse to weaken encryption and other security measures that protect millions of users and our national security. So they're basically calling the FBI liars, right?
Yeah. Look, Brian, what I think this is, I think there is technically a way they could do this. What I think this is marketing on their point, and with their millennial customers and out in Hollywood, if they are seen as cooperating with our intelligence agencies or cooperating with the Bureau, again, lawfully to go after terrorists, mind you, then that'll be a marketing problem for them. But from a technical standpoint, they could absolutely do this if they wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely. You mean get accused of being pro-American? Unbelievable. Tim Cook is coming to the White House, I believe, today. I hope the president blasts him or demands some explanation on this. Congressman, thanks so much.
Yeah, Brian, well, they need to find a way, or we're going to put it in legislation and make them do it.
Absolutely.